Hi, is this the Kingdom Hall?
Yes.
Yeah, I just had a quick question I was wondering if someone could help me with.
Okay, I could try.
Okay.
What's your question?
Some witnesses told me about the website, jw.org, and I was interested in the history. They had kind of a history book on there called Proclaimers of God's Kingdom.
Oh, you wanted like a literature?
Oh, no, I just wanted to ask a question about that book. Did you ever read Proclaimers of God's Kingdom, it's called?
If it's on JW,
Well, I mean, it's not a current thing they're putting out. It's a book they published before, you know. It's on the history.
Oh, okay.
Kind of traces like from the beginning and stuff like that. Well,
Go ahead.
What I saw in there was about what they call him Brother Rutherford was teaching from 1918 to 1925. It actually says the booklet was published in 1920. It was very specific predictions about 1925, what would happen in 1925. He basically took a lot of the things Russell was teaching for 1914 and switched them to 1925. That the end of Christendom and the resurrection of the dead on earth and paradise earth. And this is really strange. I'm just wondering, why do they talk about it this way? Like in this one paragraph, they're talking about it and say it presents it as an exciting message. What an exciting message they proclaimed. Millions now living will never die. And it talks about how he preached it in public meetings and all around the world. It was, well, not him, but it was preached in print and in public meetings where speakers were available in all areas and in 30 languages.
Right.
I mean, why is that a good thing? Who would call that an exciting message? It was totally wrong.
Give me a sec. Because I'm on the Spanish, call.
Oh, okay.
I'll probably see if somebody is in the English.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. I don't want you to have to hassle about that. I mean, what do you think about that? Is that a normal way to talk about something like that? It just really jumped out at me.
Yeah, maybe reviewing it. We go in further into detail with it, like searching other texts, Bible texts. What does the Bible say about it?
It doesn't say anything about 1925. I don't know why he was preaching that.
Right. Give me a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you're still there. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
So, at the moment, nobody's currently here. Everybody left for service.
Oh, okay.
But I did have a time. It's tomorrow at 10. There's a meeting. Here at the Kingdom Hall.
Oh, okay.
And they would be more than happy to answer any of your questions.
What's your initial feeling about that? Do you think, is that how you would view, what if it was somebody else from some other group? Is that what would you think if they said that was an exciting message preached all around the world?
I think it would have its reasons of why he relates to it.
No, I asked if it was some other group. Would you say the same thing, or what would you call that? Kind of spin? Does it sound like spin a little bit?
You mean as in preaching around the world?
Yeah. That it was an exciting message. They're portraying this as some kind of really positive thing, and that he, admitting it was preached around the world in all areas. The same subject was featured again and again. Do you think Jehovah would be in favor of that, preaching things like that in his name? He would?
I think so.
Oh, then what is a false prophet that it talks about in Deuteronomy 18:20 through 22? Somebody giving a message in Jehovah's name that was not from Jehovah. Have you ever read that?
They're not in English. Let me see. I have a little Spanglish, going from English to Spanish.
Oh, you sound great. I mean, you're really good in both. I mean, wow. I wish I could speak another language.
Deuteronomy 18?
Yeah, 20 through 22.
You said Deuteronomy 20 or 18?
Oh, 18, 20 through 22. Sorry if I said that wrong.
Okay, so what was your question about?
Well, what do you think about that? Wouldn't that apply to this, to what Rutherford was doing? Does it say it's okay? Does it say it's exciting? Does it say it's a good thing to predict things?
And this it doesn't say. If it's something that it's not coming from Jehovah, then it's not.
Yeah.
But here it also says that, if a prophet's saying, false prophet's saying something, and it didn't come to reality, then it didn't come from him.
Yeah, it says you shouldn't fear him. It even talks about the death penalty. It's a pretty serious thing. So, again, why does the Proclaimer's book portray this as such a positive thing? It was exciting. It was preached all around the world.
Okay, on the Proclaimer's book, what is it referring to? It preached around the world, correct?
Yeah, Rutherford's message and his book, Millions Now Living Will Never Die, and all the things he was teaching from 1920 to 25, none of them happened.
Which ones are you referring to?
He was preaching the resurrection of the ancient worthies to San Diego, California, the end of Christendom, the return of Earth to a paradise.
None of that has happened at the moment yet.
He wasn't preaching that it would happen. He was preaching 1925, is what I'm saying.
Oh. Yeah, the dates are a little... that's why it's better for somebody to come just to clarify. Because at the moment, I mean, we could go on and on, you know what I'm saying? But as far as what he had mentioned about it's going to be preached around the world, yes, that has happened, that everybody has preached pretty much, the earth is pretty much covered.
No, it's talking about between 1920 and 1925, that what he was predicting was preached around the world. It's a history book. It's talking about what happened during that time.
Yeah.
Don't you think Deuteronomy 18:20 through 22 really fits Brother Rutherford?
Not necessarily to him.
Why not?
Not to him, because what he's saying is something that hasn't happened yet.
No, he was predicting 1925, is what I'm saying. We're talking about what happened in the past. Of course it hasn't happened yet. His prediction was wrong. It was not from Jehovah. Why do they call it exciting?
Well, I got referred to you. If I could give you a better answer, I would.
Okay.
I'll show you if I could. If you come by tomorrow.
Oh, I don't live close enough to there. That's why I had to call. But check it out in Proclaimers of God's Kingdom, page 425. And Wikipedia has a really good section on the history of Jehovah's Witnesses, too. I mean, they're not apostates or anything like that. So it's, that's a good place to get kind of the real history. And look at some of the things they're saying. Look at what his booklet, it's called Millions Now Living Will Never Die, said. It really fits Deuteronomy 18:20 through 22. But they're trying to say it was a good thing, which is really disturbing.
If you say you don't live close by, but if you search, you can search also Kingdom Hall that's close to you.
Okay.
And closest to you, and then they also have a time.
Okay, great.
I
remember
the source that gives you the times of different meetings.
Oh, okay.
Spanish, English, yeah.
Great. Yeah, and remember how often Jesus warned of false prophets, too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just something to think about. I just wanted to see if you had any thought why they said it was exciting. I find it not exciting. If Jesus warned against it in Jehovah's arrangement in Deuteronomy 18, that doesn't seem to say it could be exciting to do that. It's very wrong to do that. Okay, well, thanks for your help. You sound like a nice guy. Thanks for your patience.
Likewise.
Okay, God bless you. See ya.
Hello?
Hi, is this the Kingdom Hall?
Yes.
Yeah, I just have a question I was wondering if someone could help me with.
Okay.
Do you have a minute?
Yes, sure.
Oh, okay. Well, I was reading this one book on your website. Some witnesses told me to read the website. They seem to tell people about it a lot, But anyways, it's called Proclaimers of God's Kingdom.
Okay, yeah, well, give me a second, okay?
Oh, sure.
Hello, this is Sam. Can I help you? This is the Kingdom Hall?
Oh, yeah. I just had a question about something I was reading about on the website.
Oh, sure.
Some Jehovah's...
I can answer your question.
Great. Some Jehovah's Witnesses told me about it, the website.
Oh, yeah, jw.org?
Yeah. So,
yes.
anyways, I was reading this book, because I love history, so I was reading this book called Proclaimers of God's Kingdom.
Uh-huh.
And it was talking about this guy named Rutherford, who was one of the leaders.
He was one of the ones that began with the organization. Yes, ma'am.
Wasn't it like Russell before him, though?
Yeah, Russell and then Rutherford.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he was one of in the beginning.
Okay. Yeah, so anyways, he was preaching in starting about 1918, till 1925 and 1926, millions now living will never die. He was preaching that, like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were going to come and be resurrected in San Diego, California. So anyways, this book, Proclaimers of God's Kingdom, says, what an exciting message they proclaimed. Millions now living will never die. From 1920 to 1925, that subject was featured again and again around the world in public meetings in all areas where speakers were available and in 30 languages.
Can I ask you what chapter you're on so I can be on the same chapter?
Oh, page 425.
Oh, okay. Good, because I have my electronic copy here, so I'm trying to find it, but I wasn't sure what chapter you were on. Okay. All right. What was your question regarding this?
Well, if someone was preaching in the name of Jehovah that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were going to come to California in 1925, and that millions now living at that time will never die, and it's totally wrong, which they knew when this was written, why did they call it like an exciting message, like it was a great thing? This is very strange to me.
Well, the thing is, when Bible prophecy seemed to be taking place, that's when the information is written, because you as human beings, we cannot tell what the future or the past is. I mean, the future's going to hold, right? So when they wrote some of these things, and now in this time when we've gotten a little bit more information with time and with seeing that certain things did not take place, then there have been adjustments. Like, for instance, like this particular article here, in future magazines articles that we've received, which is the Watchtower. I don't know if you're familiar with that magazine.
Mm-hmm.
In those future articles, sometimes these information that was misunderstood or was not, it wasn't spoken of correctly because the information wasn't understood at the moment correctly. It's been, announced to the organization, to the members of the organization, through the Watchtower articles in future studies, that these weren't things that were, didn't become fulfilled. So they are adjusted with time. I'm trying to see where you're reading from. I can't seem to find that part in the book.
Oh, okay.
You know what page it is?
I wonder, what? Do I know what?
What you just read to me, what page was it on from that?
It says, this says 425. Now, this is just a quote that I jotted down, so I hope I can probably find it for you. If you Google what an exciting message on the online library, it'll probably come up. Just the words, what an exciting message in quotes.
Let's see what it is. Because I'm looking at the actual book in that chapter, and I can't find that.
I wonder if the electronic has different page numbers.
Oh, it might.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could. I know what
I could text it to you later if you want, because I have the, I'll have to look at it again. Maybe I wrote it down wrong or something, but I don't think so. I just jotted it down.
Actually, have you ever, spoken to a witness directly?
Oh, yeah, sometimes they're out standing around, with their magazines and stuff. Now, what you said, I just don't even understand, what you said and how that can justify such a false prophecy. Do you think he said that as just something he was kind of thinking, or do you think he said that in the name of Jehovah and as the undisputable truth?
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. For instance, there were, and there have been, because I've, studied the history of witnesses. And
from their books?
Oh, yeah, from not only their books, but secular information.
Which ones did you use? What's some secular sources? I'd like to see those, too. Which ones did you read?
Usually it'll be just when you go, Google Jehovah's Witnesses or things like that.
Right.
Some of the information. But some of the things written by other secular authors, though, has kind of a little bit of a twist with that author's, prejudice a little bit, I would say, against the organization or what they believe that the witnesses think. You know what I'm saying? So, it's like they have already an idea of what they believe the witnesses are, and it's kind of a little bit slanted with their...
I think most of it actually comes from just reading the old publications. Now, let me tell you what I found here. This is in 1922. This is when he was teaching that. And here it says in the Watchtower, this chronology, that means when they set dates and time limits from supposedly based on the Bible, this chronology is not of man, but of God. Being of divine origin and divinely corroborated, present truth chronology stands in a class by itself, absolutely and unqualifiedly correct. Now, this was at the time he was putting that forth. So, again, he's saying he's God's channel. He's not saying teaching as just, this would be fun to kind of talk about or whatever. Take it or leave it. It definitely wasn't like that, So that renders what you were saying, you're the one twisting. I mean, kind of, right?
Well, look, I'm reading right here directly from the book, and I did put in that you said. It says an intriguing subject, And it says, what an exciting message they proclaim. Millions now living will never die.
They're trying to make it like a great thing. I mean,
Well,
yes, of
yeah,
course
it says,
it hyped people up, but
right.
that's a terrible thing to do to people.
Well, it says here, I'm going to read it for you. It says, Rutherford had given a discourse on this
that's
subject
what
in
I just read.
1918.
Yeah.
It was also the title of a 128-page booklet published in 1920. From 1920 to 25, that same subject was featured again and again around the world in public meetings in all areas where speakers were available and upwards of 30 languages.
Wow.
Instead of saying, as Christendom does, that all good people would go to heaven, this discourse focused attention on the Bible-based hope of eternal life on a paradise earth for obedient mankind. And it expressed a conviction that the time for the realization of that hope was very near.
No, it didn't say very near. It said 1925. See, that is. You should read the originals. You should read the originals, not proclaimers of God's kingdom. You know, it just leaves out so much. That was just my take on it. And remember, he's saying that it was from God. Yeah, I know. What I'm saying is, proclaimers of God's kingdom doesn't really tell everything. Oh, it's so nice they focused on the resurrection. It's not telling you, and that it was near. That was not what he was saying. So, I mean, you have to think who's really putting a slant.
Well, again, if you would like, I belong to the Spanish congregation, so we were here for our meeting group this morning. For Spanish, we're heading out, but I could get in contact with, if you like your information, with somebody from the English congregation.
Oh, so definitely. Yeah, I would like to talk to them about it too. What do you think Jesus meant when he talked about false prophets? Oh,
of course, that just like in his time, there was, so many religions, and a lot of people were proclaiming things in God's name, but not necessarily
like Rutherford.
That it was like that, not necessarily meaning that they were true. Like, I've been a witness since I was a child, and, I've studied a lot of history, because I love history, too. And a lot of history, things that have happened, have come true, according to what the Bible says. I'm not talking about interpretations of human beings, because, of course, human beings are, we're at fault with the sin that we've inherited from Adam and Eve.
Again, he claimed to be speaking for God. So I can show you even more quotes about what they were teaching at that time about the Watchtower, being the channel, it coming from Jehovah, being divinely origin. That means inspired, literally. So, again, you're veering a little bit off from that, talking about imperfect people or whatever. So let's look at the claims, they were making while they were doing this. And this is very appalling that they spin this as a positive thing. Oh, it was so exciting. No, it's not exciting to do that.
The Bible actually does teach about the, resurrection and that Jehovah will return people.
Yeah. We're not talking about that. We're talking about his prediction.
It is in the Bible.
You know about Beth Sarim, right? The mansion he predicted they would come to.
No, see, those are things that are not written in any of the Proclaimer book. I've never heard about that.
I think there's a small little picture of it on one of the pages that I saw. But now I don't know if that's in the online copy, but I think they just mention it slightly. It's in San Diego, California. And that the deed was actually deeded to, I think, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So.
Well, it seems like you have a lot of questions that you would like answered.
Oh, definitely.
Is there a number that somebody can call you at?
How about my email? I can get. It works better for me.
All right. Let me write that down. What is the email?